Hey Year 12s, I'm just continuing to discuss the structure of your argument analysis. So we have talked about what goes in an introduction. We have talked about what goes in a body paragraph. Keywords being what is happening, what arguments or what language is being used, how is it persuasive, slash, and why is it persuasive? So think about what the audience might be thinking about, what they might be feeling, and how the specific audience is intended to react or be positioned. Okay. Now, we know that by paragraph 3, paragraph 4, 3 or 4, you are starting to move on to text 2. What you need to do at the start of this paragraph is have a comparative sentence starter. This is where you use phrases such as similarly or in contrast or in the same way as text 1. This is what's happening in text 2. You are just outlining a point of comparison. You might notice that text 2 has a different contention altogether, or you might notice text 2 has a similar contention but a different phrase, a different approach. You might notice that text 2 has a really clearly different tone. You might actually notice that text 2 has a similar tone but a different contention. So I need a sentence to outline the comparison. You may say something like, author 2 focuses more on this and less on author's 1 concern for blah, blah, blah. Author 2 emphasizes to a greater degree ... and ignores author 1's emphasis of blah, blah, blah. Now, this table as well is in your booklet. And so I'm just going to show you some examples of, there we go, examples of some comparative sentences. So you might just be using the word conversely. Conversely, Strillo begins her piece, this is the 2019 SAC. Strillo begins her piece by admitting disappointment in the media for having painted a picture of two cities miles apart. Or these two are about the youth offenders, the youth detention centres. Similarly, Stephen's comment diplomatically critiques the widespread opinion of having harsher treatment for young offenders. While Michael Tracy's online e-comment coincides with Nicholson's opinion that Facebook was wrong to exploit its users, a rather mocking approach is adopted. So a different approach is adopted. In addition, as opposed to Nicholson, Tracy angrily condemns Facebook and the danger it creates. So this is if you are writing 2 paragraphs on text 2. So you don't need a whole lot of comparison. The stress is not on the comparison. Just do a couple of sentences or one sentence discussing how it's different or discussing how it's similar, and then move on to analyzing text 2. You can take 1 paragraph to analyze text 2 or 2 paragraphs. That's fine. I've highlighted these 2 phrases in yellow because I wanted you guys to pay attention to the use of adverbs. So Stephen diplomatically critiques and Tracy angrily condemns. It actually gives us more information about the tone. If you're like, I don't know how I should keep discussing tone throughout my piece and saying she uses a diplomatic tone or an angry tone all the time, just change the tone word to an adverb and include it in your writing. I also wanted you guys to pay attention to the use of really interesting verbs. So Stephen critiques, Tracy condemns. That also gives us a clue as to how attacking or formal or informal a person might be. The same thing with your text 3. So once you move on to paragraph 5 or 6, you are up to the image. And we will talk about how to analyze an image in a separate video, I think. But here is your comparative sentence. By depicting an officer from the Critical Incident Response Unit delivering pizza, Mark Knight's contention juxtaposes, good word, against Stephen's argument by asserting violence is the only solution in order to prevent riots. So this is saying basically Knight's contention is way different, or is juxtaposed to Stephen's one. Okay, so to summarize what's going on in your argument analysis structure, you've got an intro. Spend 2 to 3 paragraphs on text 1. Spend 1 to 2 paragraphs on text 2 and 1 paragraph on text 3. For once you introduce text 2 and text 3, have a couple of comparative sentences at the start of your paragraph and potentially throughout your piece, but it is not, don't stress too much about the comparison. Okay, all right, thanks guys.